Let's talk about big companies no longer requiring degrees. Hi, I'm Conrad Hall. Welcome to CraniumExRectum, our YouTube channel. And there was an article just at Christmas in 2022 all about, big employers no longer requiring degrees. Ooh. Okay. Oh my. As a retired carpenter and welder, I can tell you that there are a lot of jobs that require no degree. And right off the top, I want to make the point, the whole thing. I'm sure most of you have heard this whole idea of 10,000 hours to mastery. And it gets associated with, earning a college degree. Except a college degree is 4 years, part-time, actually. They call it full-time studies, but someone going to university or college is not in class 8 hours a day. Not even close. Let alone 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. The whole thing about 10,000 hours to mastery comes from an apprenticeship. So learning to be a carpenter, a plumber, a butcher, an electrician, learning a trade. 10,000 hours to mastery is a 5-year apprenticeship where you show up to work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks out of the year, and in 5 years, it's 10,000 hours. So, at the time of recording, I have no degree. I have several continuing education certificates in AutoCAD, being a site superintendent in construction, welding. I learned how to weld, being a carpenter. There are lots of things that I've gone back to school to study, in addition to having done the apprenticeship to be a carpenter. So the idea that you need a degree, no, you don't. Now, that said, at 56 years of age, I have a clear plan for going to university, getting a bachelor's degree, and then getting a law degree, and then very seriously considering a medical degree. Why? Why would I want those at 56, and obviously older? Because I have yet to even start at university, so why would I go for them? Because now at 56, I see the value in the knowledge that I can gather by doing those degrees, and the introduction that it provides me to, for example, the Law Society, to the Medical Society. Coming out of high school and going off to college or university and incurring well over $100,000 worth of debt to get a degree, especially if you choose a degree in sociology or whatever, political science or, whatever. Now, if you are going to choose a degree in chemistry, mathematics, I could see political science if you are intending to work at a job for a municipality, for some level of government, or you intend to be a politician or support a politician. But if you want to major in English history, okay, what kind of job exactly is it that you are going after? If you're going to do a history where your major is art history, what kind of job are you going after? And so before you even consider whether you are doing a degree, what you need to consider is, how will I use that degree? And to say, well, I'll get a degree just to get an entry-level job, and no. You need a use for the degree. And I'll use one that I have heard about. There apparently, at some colleges or universities, there are degree programs in lesbian dance studies. Okay. But what are you going to do as a job? If you go to school for 4 years and incur $100,000 worth of debt, and the degree you get is in lesbian dance studies, how are you going to use that to make $100,000 to pay back the debt? And how are you going to use that to whatever your career path is? So if you want to buy a house, if your career path is to have a spouse and a house and some kids or whatever it is, to live in a condo, whatever your career path is, whatever your life achievement path is, how are you going to use the degree you get to make that life path happen? So it makes no difference what your degree is in. If you want to study lesbian dance studies, then study that. If you want to study chemistry, then study that. Whatever it is that you want to study, fine. Go to school and study it. There are courses. There's a university here in Ontario called Northern University, which, as you can expect, is in Northern Ontario. And they have degree programs in agriculture. And they have degree programs in animal husbandry. People use those degrees as part of becoming, for example, a veterinarian. People can use that degree to better manage the family farm. As long as you know what it is that you are going to do after you get the degree, then study whatever it is you want to study. Because we have a situation now where students are moaning and groaning and crying that, oh, I went to university, I got a degree, and now I have no job. All I can do is flip burgers. Okay, then where was your plan to get the degree? Sorry, that's your CraniumExRectum moment, is what was your plan? Did you think that simply getting a degree would land you a job making $80,000 or $90,000 a year? Why would you think that? You could go to, for example, here locally, there's a college called George Brown College, which isn't at a community college level. It's a little above a community college level, but they do have programs for nursing, for dental hygienist, the same kind of programs that you would see at a community college, but they are also associated with the University of Toronto, and so they tie into degree programs. But you could go to college, learn how to be a dental hygienist, assuming you have an interest in that. Useful. And then there is a job that you can do while perhaps you then do a part-time study to get a degree in something that you want to use to further your career. I have a not-for-profit. It's the CraniumExRectum Institute of Happiness Studies. That's where the title for this YouTube channel comes from, CraniumExRectum. Pull your head out of your butt, face the reality in front of you instead of what you wish were in front of you, and deal with it. So one of the programs that we have run is called Youth Learning Code. And the reason for it is obviously learning how to code is approaching a level as being as basic to employment as learning how to read, learning how to write, having an understanding of history, an understanding of geography. It's, a useful skill. But when kids would come into the program, and this is a program for young adults, so anyone from basically 13 years of age to 29 years of age, with a focus on high school students. Because what I tell kids when they come into the program, what I tell young adults when they come into the program, be they 13, 14, 17, whatever age they are. You might choose coding as a career path. And so you might really fall in love with this and move on to be a full stack developer in one of the several stacks that exist. You might develop proficiency in 2 or 3 stacks and focus on, for example, getting a Google certification and going to work for Google. You might focus on learning the ins and outs of WordPress and how to build websites and build a business, developing websites for business owners, learning about marketing and teaching them about marketing. There are lots of things that you can do. The key is learning to code is a skill that just does this for you. Okay? So learning how to read, learning how to write, obviously gives you a boost over someone who has no knowledge of how to read or write. If you want to go into the trades, being proficient at mathematics, especially what they call shop math, so being able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, gives you an edge over someone who is less than proficient at those things. Similarly, if you learn how to code, so for example, you learn how to program inside of Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. You learn how to code inside of Microsoft Excel. So that gives you an opportunity to take what it is you're doing in the philosophy program or the geography program, whatever course it is that you're studying, and you get to use that ability to code to present your information in a better way that gives you, that extra 2 or 3% in your mark. It allows you to, so learning how to code, and particularly learning how to develop websites, gives you a skill that you can use to be earning money while you go to university. It just opens an incredible number of doors. And so this idea, there's an article here, again, everything that I mention and stuff beyond what I mentioned is down below in the description. So this article is actually from Yahoo Finance. It's written by, I believe it's Sarah Lewis, but her name is spelled S-E-R-A-H, so it might be Sarah Lewis. Sarah or Sarah, if you want to tell me in the comments how to pronounce your name, I would certainly appreciate that. And she writes an article that is all about big employers like Google and IBM no longer requiring college degrees in a tight job market. So right away you need to understand this is a temporary circumstance. When, labor is no longer so tight, so hard to come by, and they have lots of folks from whom they can choose, that's when they're able to put back the requirement, okay, we want you to have a college degree. And realistically, all a college degree tells a prospective employer is that for 4 years, you showed up someplace regularly and on time, you completed tasks that were assigned to you in at least an acceptable manner, and you are capable of working with others, of getting stuff done. Now, depending on what you study, depending on how good you are, depending on things you do that are extracurricular, it can certainly show more than that. But that's basically what it shows. So this article is talking about the idea that because the labor market is tight and it's hard to find help, that these large companies are saying, oh, well, we don't need a college degree anymore. Well, I can tell you from experience, Google never really has. Google wants to see your GitHub library. They want to see, your coding library. And they want to see how you, A, write code, B, document the code that you write, and does your code do what you say it's going to do? That's why, you are already watching YouTube. I am sure you have seen ads from Google saying, hey, complete a Google certificate. There's another one. If you are interested in coding, Free Code Camp. Okay? freecodecamp.org. They offer several certificates in coding. Their certificates are recognized by Google, IBM, and other corporations. And it is a good place. It is a resource that we use as part of the Youth Learning Code program. So they don't require a degree. And as a tradesperson, I will say again, learning to be a butcher, a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a welder, none of these things require a university degree or a college degree or a diploma. They require apprenticeships. And a really good point about apprenticeships is that you get paid to be at the job learning how to do the job. Whereas if you go to university or college for 4 years, you are paying them to be there to learn. And let's be clear, most college professors have been out of the job market for a very long time. They are teaching you stuff that was relevant 30, 40, 50 years ago. What you are learning is horribly out of date. And I can tell you from experience in construction, I have had people come out of university with a degree in engineering who have no idea how to read a drawing, and they have no idea how to set up a theodolite or how to do the math that's required to use a theodolite. They don't even know how to use a total station, which is basically a computerized version of a theodolite. And if you're wondering, a theodolite is simply a device for being able to shoot distances and angles in 3D space. So if you are wondering how it is that you are ever going to use geometry, what value could geometry ever be to me? Well, if you want to be a tradesperson, any tradesperson, carpenter, electrician, welder, anything, you need to understand angles. you just do, okay? You just do. Now I have a note here that HR professionals, human resources professionals, just love to propagate the idea and a false belief that having a degree means you know how to learn. That is untrue. Ask anybody in university. You don't. You know how to consume the information that the professor tells you to consume. I have met instructors at universities who, if a student reads something outside of the recommended reading, they will get angry with that student. Let alone if that student takes something that's outside the recommended reading and brings those ideas into the course. Whoa! No. For the most part, when you go to college or university, what you are learning is how to consume information and regurgitate it. That's what most instructors want. And you need to understand that most instructors have no real-world job experience. They have never done the job for which they are supposedly training you. So, you kind of have to wonder. All right? Most professors, most teaching assistants that are at colleges and universities have never had a real-world job beyond being a waiter or flipping pizzas, doing burgers, that kind of thing. So they learned something from somebody who learned it out of a book, who learned it from somebody who learned it out of a book, and so on, and so on, and so on. So why are you paying tens of thousands of dollars every year to go learn from people who have never done the thing that they purport to be teaching you to do? That's something that you should really be thinking about. That is a huge CraniumExRectum moment. Make sure if you are going to pay somebody $25,000 or $30,000 a year to teach you, then you need to make sure they are qualified to teach you. And simply the fact that they work at the college university, that falls short of being a qualification to teach you. You need to know whether they have actually done the thing that they claim they are able to teach. Now, there is some stuff in this article about, some kids would be better off going to a vocational technical school. Yeah, like learning an apprenticeship. I can tell you from personal experience, if you were to learn how to be a mason, laying bricks, stones, cutting stone, you will make more money than a doctor or a lawyer. Okay, because it's a skill set that is vanishing. People don't know how to do it anymore. And what a lot of people say is, well, it's heavy manual labor. I don't want to do that. Okay, then don't. But understand that if you do that job and you are very skilled at it, you can very quickly earn the money and build a business where you hire other people who you can train in how to do it. And so you share that heavy manual labor and it becomes lighter. Maybe you have heard the phrase, maybe you have not heard the phrase. Many hands make light work. If 4 or 5 people are doing a job, it is much easier to get that job done than if one person is doing it alone. Okay? So that's the whole thing behind big employers no longer require degrees. Well, a lot of jobs don't. And I am definitely not talking about manufacturing jobs where you just, put the same screw in the same spot and the same thing all day long. No. Those jobs are out there, and I have no intention of taking away from people who do those jobs. But I am talking about a job where you develop real skills in the trades, in business. Okay, just knowing how to market your stuff is a skill. Okay, again, I could go on for hours. I love this stuff, but I've covered what I want to say. Please do click like. That's the thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up. That is a huge help to me and to the channel. Please do subscribe so that new videos pop up in your feed. And any comments you have about things that I can cover better, that I could cover in more detail, if you have a suggestion for how I can change how I cover things or talk about things, that would be great. If you're a troll and you have something nasty to say, farfig nugan you, go somewhere else. And be careful, I have published 9 books, and I'm a professional copywriter, and I've been doing comedy since I was about 17, so if you make a nasty comment, I just might choose to reply. Okie doke? So, there you go. Please click like, please do subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Bye-bye.